Vattenfall strategy to enable a fossil-free living in one generation, that is not our sustainability strategy, that's our business strategy.
Fossil-free electricity will be a key enabler to achieve decarbonization in the future.
I think we will have a fossil-free industry and a society by 2050.
The HYBRIT project is a lighthouse initiative for us that will also strengthen the competitiveness of all the partners in the initiative. The transition is already in the making, not only because we see the Paris Agreement translated into national targets and Green Deal funding, but also because we see technology cost for renewable technologies going down sharply. We see increased prices for CO2 emissions, an increased customer demand.
Fossil-free electricity will be a key enabler to achieve decarbonization in the future. And Vattenfall's main focus in this is to supply the process with energy in terms of fossil-free electricity converted to hydrogen. What we're doing in HYBRIT is to replace the coal that is used to make iron out of iron ore. We replace that with hydrogen, which essentially has the same function. But the hydrogen in this case is made from water split by fossil-free electricity, so we remove the source of carbon dioxide in this system. We also develop technology for large-scale underground storage of hydrogen, which will act as a flexible buffer when more fluctuating wind and solar comes into the power system.
Electricity has truly become the source of innovation, and you can ask yourself why. It's important to remember that all the solutions that we're talking about that will kind of move us into a climate-friendly future, all of those solutions more or less existed before. The big difference is really that fossil fuels were then a cheaper way to add the energy than to use electricity. And then what's happening lately is that it become more costly to do the fossil track through the CO2 price, but also others. And it become less costly to generate electricity.
There is more fossil-free electricity produced in Sweden than what is consumed. However, there are big differences between different parts of the country. So short term, the most important thing to do is to invest in transmission and distribution grids so that we can actually use the fossil-free electricity where and when it's needed. Long term, there will be an increased demand and therefore also a need to build more fossil-free electricity, which is another cornerstone of the Vattenfall strategy.
We're not really fit for this disruptive transition, so doing that in time is a lot of small bits and pieces that needs to fit together. It's definitely a sense of urgency, and it's not only because it's necessary, it's also because it's desirable. We see that the demand for consuming green is increasing, and we are eager to meet that.
We need to do things much faster than we ever done it before. To do things in parallel, you can't really have maybe the certainty that you're used to. So you need to work in more uncertainty and still run fast. And that's a challenge for me, and it's a challenge for many of the stakeholders involved in this project.
When fossil fuels are phased out of the industrial processes, we're forming new type of value chains when we're replacing fossil fuels with fossil-free electricity. And therefore, we need innovation to happen along the entire value chain. And it's simply too complicated for one company alone to cover that, so we need to work closely together.
I think that the HYBRIT initiative is a very good example of how cooperation across industries can lead to something that is a good business for the future, but that will also contribute to the Swedish targets of becoming carbon neutral before 2045. And the magic is in the execution, so that's what we need to focus on now.
We are at Stockholm's Vattenskärning, west of Stockholm. We are going to meet Micke, and we are going through the process and what they actually can do. I love factories because you can see always new possibilities. I learned here that the weight is very, very important because it's so the density is very high. In the beginning, I wanted to have a more like a stone, but the weight was so too heavy. It is very narrow and has a kind of so less amount of steel. The idea behind the look, the design, It's like a feeling of taking a piece of, the magnetite to translate or to refine to a gemstone. I can look on the prototype that it's the right size, how it looked like on the table, how the facets look like and so on, before we're starting to produce this wonderful fossil-free steel.
This is the first time we have the possibility to test our ideas in a big industrial scale.
Today there is no company can provide fossil-free steel on the market.
We can supply our customers with a completely fossil-free value chain. And I think the demand from their customers, the end users of different applications, is getting bigger and bigger.